Hello, everybody. This is Football Psych, and I'm Coach Mark.
It is so hard. It's hard.
And it's me, good old Shaq, and I'm back.
Oh, you
All right, Shaq is back.
We love it when you hear Shaq. We just love it when you hear. Hey, listen, I ain't gonna throw the ball deep. I ain't gonna throw it hard. I'm gonna do it underhand. You know why? Because I saw about 4 of these this week. So here's a shovel pass.
Got it.
All right, we need a little bit more volume on you, Large Sarge. All right, so
more volume on me.
I need a little bit more volume on you because you're coming in faint. All right, so everybody, welcome to the Commanders edition of the Football Psych. Tonight we have a very, very special type of program tonight that we want to be able to share with you guys, because what we are going to do tonight is talk about how do we evaluate as a program whether or not we have progress. And I think one of the things that we want to talk about when it comes to progress is how we have continuously missed opportunities after opportunities after opportunities. I had mentioned several weeks ago that when we were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, that was actually should have been day one of our off season for the 2026 football season.
Yep.
And they didn't do that. Instead, they've been lollygagging over this past month. They actually started players that they shouldn't have started, won games they probably shouldn't have won. Not saying that you shouldn't try to win. I'll explain that here in a little bit. But also, they missed out on opportunities to try to put people in positions to evaluate talent. So here are a couple of things that we are going to go over tonight, right? So anything I'm going to tell you about the information, I'm going to give my disclaimer up front about products that I use. They're based off of my individual research, not off of any official position of any general manager or NFL team. And as for entertainment value, does not express the views of the NFL or any NFL team. I throw that out there because of this. I'm going to share with you products that general managers use, but don't take that as this is the official stuff that is used by the NFL. I'm not saying that. This is one of many, many tools. I'm going to show you a few different things tonight, but there are several different tools that many of them use, but they also use more. And if I was in a position, it would only be one of the tools I'd be using too, and I'd be using many, many more. To put it in the preface, like we have open source information. Teams have all this open source information too, but they also have information that we're just not privy to as the public. For instance, I'll give you a couple things. For example, I don't have an entire scouting department that is evaluating talent that's giving me feedback, right? Like teams do. I also don't have my own medical staff that's evaluating players and giving me medical reports and telling me medically where a player is, right? We only get what information is released to the public, and it's not everything, right? So we have to take our analysis with a grain of salt that we are not privy to all the information that NFL teams use. That being said, I still think the Washington Commanders screw up regularly and missing opportunities to be able to improve this team. So I'm going to start with you, Large Sarge. Before we get into it, we have to talk about that game because there was a game. What was your initial comments on the game? And tell me your thoughts of what you're hearing up there in Washington.
So I listened. So I had to
need a little bit more volume on your end.
Even more? You need more?
I need more volume on you. Not when you're yelling, but just when you're normally talking.
Closer to the mic. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
All right. So I listened. So I had to work today, and it was dead at the store. So I listened to DC Sports Radio, and then I actually tuned into Philly Sports Radio to hear what was going on. And as you know, Philly played their starters for the first quarter and yanked them out, and they got a lot of good viz on their second string. And apparently, during the game in the stadium, they broadcast Philly Sports Radio up there. And apparently, the fans had a field day. They were upset. They gave Nick Sirianni holy jamoly hell for allowing the second string in, and they were not happy with letting our first string beat their second string. They just weren't satisfied with that. Down here, we were ecstatic with beating Philly.
I don't know why.
And I
I don't know
don't.
why either.
It's so for the life of me, my opinion on this is this: if there were any players on the field, there were on the field as first string starters that were not there, that had no reason to be on the field to collect a bonus or collect a stat that paid them in any way. Let me see. Deebo Samuel. There were several others. Scary Terry had no business being on the field. Wagner did, because Wagner crossed the 2,000 mark. That's a lifelong career stat. But as soon as he got the 2,000 tackle mark, you should have pulled him. Even though we don't know he's going to be there, there was no reason. Let's save him. But any other starter that we had on either side of that ball that was not collecting a check to get a performance-based, that didn't even have a remote chance to get a performance-based bonus, should have not been on that field. As a matter of fact, I'll go so far to say, as soon as we were mathematically eliminated from the postseason, that should have been the rule of law on the field. End of story. Supporting Coach Mad Mike.
Well, me personally, I think the Terry McLaurin needed the reps. We didn't get a real good look at him this year.
Why?
He needed the reps.
Why does he need the reps? He's got an entire offseason to get reps. So what would that do to help us?
He didn't have a full offseason this time. Let him play. So I agree.
What if he gets injured again?
He had a full offseason to
We have
recover.
so much money wrapped in him, Shaq. If he got hurt again, which is likely at his advanced age, does that help us or hurt us?
I wouldn't let him play. I'm just saying, Bobby Wagner. Now him, Deebo.
Let him do a series, get him off the field.
Nah, once we got mapped, like when Coach Mad Mike shared the list of players that we signed to future contracts, those are guys that should be playing. But guys like Terry McLaurin should be playing. Deebo should be playing because he's playing for a contract. Bobby Wagner, let him play till he get his money, get him on the field. And then if he's about to retire, if he decides if he wants to retire or not, he's not gonna be. I'm gonna tell you right now, bold prediction: Bobby Wagner not gonna be on his roster next year. He's a West Coast guy. He wants to go back to the West Coast, right? And this is it. So Bobby Wagner's not gonna be on this roster next year, right?
So let him play.
Let him play. Let him go ahead and play it on out.
He's bubble. He's $12 million guaranteed. There's no reason to have him on the field.
Let him play because he wants the extension. Let him play.
Yeah. So Lars Star, you're still coming in faint for some reason. I don't know where your mic is.
I should be coming in faint, man. I should be blowing.
There you go. You're not though.
No.
You're coming in a little faint. So anyway, it's good feedback that we have off here. A lot of teams take a lot of different approaches to this. To me, I am very much more like, if I'm mathematically eliminated, my thought process on everything I do from that moment is about next year.
Yep.
So I don't care if I hurt people's feelings, right? I don't care if you're expecting something or you have some kind of expectation, because I'm about ready to mitigate your expectation, right? I agree with, because Lars Sarge and I talked about this before we came on the show. We had a large conversation about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. If you have performance bonuses that you have to meet, I'm going to make sure you get your reps to get your performance bonuses. I'm not going to put you in a disadvantageous position where you're not going to get a bonus check because I'm not playing you. I'm not going to do that. Like no coach should, right? You take care of your players, right? You don't hold them back from getting a bonus, but like when those things are done, you have to ask yourself, what good am I doing the program? I don't play players for the sake of playing players. Like everything should be strategic in mind, right? So like the list of players that we went through over a couple of weeks ago that said are on contract for next year, who need to increase reps. This is an important time period to get that on game film, which I think we took advantage of some of it, but I don't think we exploited it to the max extent possible, right? Because we could have got guys more playing time, because I want that film for a number of reasons, right? One, I have to evaluate players for the offseason. Two, I have to also have development programs for those players for the offseason. And there's nothing better than film to tell a player where you're at.
That's true, but I'm gonna tell you one of the main issues. What how we was talking about all the injuries we had this year. I'm gonna tell you one of our biggest focal points besides watching players, bringing players in. But one of the big things, strength and conditioning, man. This team was not in any condition to compete this year, right? So, since we talk about the players now, strength and conditioning has to be like, what are y'all doing in the offseason to make this team stronger, better, more physical? Because we was not a physical football team this year, right? The two other changes I would like to see, besides the players, I would like us to let Joe Witt walk, let Kingsbury walk. I would like to see Kevin Stefanski come in as the OC and Raheem Morris come in as the DC.
Yeah, I'm with you on Raheem Morris. 100%. I track with Raheem Morris as soon as he was released by Atlanta. To me, he's number one on my board for DC.
Yeah.
Right. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I would interview anybody else right now. Stefanski as OC, I'm fine with. I think there's going to be a couple other candidates that are also going to emerge from OC. To me, it's more important, like, what system are you bringing to this team, and is that a scheme fit for our offensive players? If you come in here, I don't care who you are, and you have a read option RPO type of system, get the heck out of my room.
Yeah,
we're not running that here. If you think you're going to come in here, and we have to learn from history, right? I don't want RG3 2.0. And so far, over these past 2 years, it has been scripted.
Yep.
Almost identical to RG3's thing. And if we keep this up, Jayden Daniels will not be in this league 2 years from now.
No.
So we have to change course, and we have to get him in a system where he's running play action, where he's bootlegging, where when he does get bootleg, gets out of the pocket, that he learns to either throw the ball away, read the film, or if he runs, that he learns to slide.
Now, why I brought up Stefanski? Is because look what he was doing with Shedeur Sanders. He was rolling Shedeur Sanders out, getting him outside the pocket. Things like Taylor Gabriel wasn't a good fit. You know what I'm saying? Joe Flacco wasn't a good fit. But as soon as he got somebody with a little bit of mobility, you see what was going on with the Browns. So
I agree with that.
So I like he's a grounded pound guy. He just couldn't keep those healthy running backs up there.
Okay, Lars Sarge, what do you got?
So I'm coming back to a comment that Jack had related to McLaurin and related to what Shaq said, and to my initial comment that McLaurin should not have been on the field once we got X'd out of the postseason. Listen to me, folks. Listen to me loud and clear. McLaurin is paid through the year. He had, and Coach and I talked about this last night. He's fully paid. There's not a single performance bonus that he gets. He doesn't help this team do anything this year. Through the rest of the end of the season, once we are out, he helped this team do nothing by being on the field. Zero. You know what he did help this team do? Go at risk for getting injured. He should have been strength and conditioning, holding a clipboard, and helping coach up our younger receivers, because those are the ones that should have been on the field that he was looking at, and helping our receivers coach saying, look at that guy. See what he missed? Yeah, McLaurin, get in this guy's ear and help Lane, help some of these other guys. Teach them the maneuvers to get open, help them get their routes better, be on the sidelines, active, helping to coach these guys. Should not be on the field because he's an injury risk at his age. And he doesn't need to get stretching on the field.
Yeah.
He doesn't need that. We have an entire offseason and training to do that. He does not need to risk injury with as much as we have invested. He needs to be bubble wrap like Daniels.
Now listen, I agree with you to a point, but hear me out. 9 out of 10 of these receivers are not going to be on this roster next year. So what is he coaching up? Lane is hurt. He was hurt. Traylon Burks was a first-round draft pick. He already knows what to do, right? So
he's got training to do. He's a young guy.
He's 25, but he's going to be on the roster next year. Name another receiver, Lane. I guarantee we draft a receiver in this draft. I guarantee it. I guarantee you, we draft a big body receiver because Luke McCaffrey is injured prone.
And McCaffrey's injured, so he's not playing. I get
He's
it.
not playing.
There are
Jeremy
still
Lane
guys in
is
depth
not our guy.
that McLaurin should be helping out. We need to get visibility in depth.
That's why he should be playing.
Okay, well, this is not what the show is going to be about tonight. So,
Okay.
for those who are watching, we're going to get back on track with what we're going to do for the show tonight because we could talk about this all night about the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
He played and he didn't get injured.
All right, we're moving on, Lord Sarge. So, like what we're doing with players and what they did, like the season's over. What's done is done. Like they're constantly going the wrong way. They've been going the wrong way the entire season, and we can bash them about everything that they did. Again, we have to think about now what do we do when we move forward?
Yeah.
So right now that their season's over, we've missed the opportunity to evaluate talent to the full extent I would have liked to have seen it done. So, but you've got what you've got now. And so now, and we've also hurt ourselves in draft stock. And I don't think people know the significance of what it means to lose what I call draft capital. I call it draft capital. Nobody else really uses that term. It's one I kind of coin phrased. But I call it draft capital because I look at draft picks as a currency.
Yep.
I look at it as that way. And your currency can either increase in value or decrease in value depending on where you're at on the board and what's going on in a draft. And it allows you to basically purchase players, right? So if you have the picks, you can get it where you want. You can trade for more. It's a currency, right? It allows you to get what you need to improve your program. There's a lot of things and decisions that we made where we did not help our program. So what I'm going to show you a couple of things is the rationale behind that, what could be done moving forward, and a change in thought process about what should be done off of these things. So I'm going to pull up my slide deck here, and we've got a lot of material to go through in about 45 minutes. So let me get on with it. And let's get into this a little bit more. I'm not sure I like that screen as much as that one. There you go. All right, so let's get into this. I gave you my disclaimer already. I want people to do this. Now, if you're looking at this, fans, on your phone, you're going to have to listen a little bit more. Obviously, put your comments in and stuff like that, but this might be something you might want to go back and actually look at it on your desktop or your laptop or plug it into the big screen because some of these charts, the print on it's going to be way, way too small for you to see on your iPhone. And so if you just like to listen to it and you get your enjoyment that way, great. But if you want to go back and listen to the film and actually pull up these products, it's a really, really good thing. One of the things I recommend that everybody who's a fan who wants to kind of nerd out on this stuff to do is to look at Over the Cap. Over the Cap is my website of choice that I go to track people's contracts. It also shows you where the draft value chart is. I also keep track of players' contract details, as well as things like player values. I also look at salary cap information that's on there. There's a lot of things that are over the cap. Most people who visit this site go there to look at teams' cap status.
Yep.
I look at it for a lot more than that because I'm extremely analytical. I'm a little bit psycho that way, right? I'll admit it. I'm actually subscribed to this channel. Now, it costs about $20 a year, right? So it's cheap, but it's a waste of $20 if you're not an analytical psycho like me because all it is a bunch of numbers. And that might not interest you. It interests me enough where I'm paying my $20 because I'm just that kind of guy, right? So to get into this, I want to start off by first showing you the current draft picks that we have. Right now, we have the 7th overall pick in the draft. That's been locked in based off of our things. We could have had the 5th pick. We could have had the 4th pick. We could have had the 3rd pick, depending on our win-loss. But we beat the Giants and we beat the Eagles. I don't know what we gain as a football franchise other than, okay, you can say you beat your division rivals. So what? To me, like, unless you're evaluating talent and you know that you gained something by people who are going to be on this roster next year, I don't think you helped yourself as a football program. I could even make the argument that you hurt us because you devaluated our draft capital, our currency.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge difference between what a 3rd overall pick means to a program and a 7th overall pick. It's a huge difference. So why are we in the draft situation that we're in? So we do not have a second nor a fourth round draft pick this year because of we traded that to the Houston Texans to get Laramie Tunzel in that trade. We also picked up an additional 6th-round pick because we traded B Rob to the San Francisco 49ers. So that's why we have the picks that we have.
Mhm.
There is a chance, people, that we will get a compensatory pick. That will be decided in the next week to 10 days when the compensatory picks come out. There is talk that we may get a compensatory pick from the loss of Dante Fowler last offseason. But that has not been determined, and that is not guaranteed.
Oh,
That
it's
is
not
under
guaranteed?
discussion by the NFL League of whether we will get compensatory pick for that. And I have no idea what the compensatory pick would be at this point.
It
But
will
it's
probably
something
it'll
on
probably be like a 7th round or something like that, 6th round.
it. So we
Coach,
will see.
what do you mean it's not guaranteed?
It's not.
It's not guaranteed because they have a committee that determines compensatory compensation.
Yep.
And so they have to evaluate that to determine whether or not a pick is constituted for the loss that was incurred by the team.
So if
And
you don't
so
get the
even
pick,
though
you
a
still be
team
dead.
might think that they deserve compensatory compensation for it, does not mean the league is going to grant it.
So
Yeah.
if it's not a pick, could it be money?
No, it's always given in compensation by draft picks.
So
And,
it's
and, and,
a
Dante,
pick
It's
or nothing.
compensatory pick.
and
It's a pick or
Dante
nothing.
Fowler, and let's be realistic, Dante Fowler is not worth that. I mean, he
And Dante
did.
Fowler may not, it might be viewed. I'm not, because he was a backup player, he might not be viewed by the league as somebody that's worthy of compensatory compensation.
Yeah.
All right.
He led us in sacks, but that was a fail all the way on.
And so, and so I could see an argument for a late round pick, but I could also see the argument that we wouldn't get any compensation. So it's just something worth monitoring, right? Right now, what we can count on is that we have 6 picks, and this is what they are. Okay.
So
And then-
question.
Go ahead.
This compensatory pick thing, it's all or nothing.
So what do you mean?
You get a comp pick or you get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
make a determination whether or not you deserve compensation or not for your loss.
And you have
Right.
no say so in it. It's just it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can make a case to the league, but the league's going to vote on determine
I'm
whether or
saying.
not teams have, because they look at all 32 teams and
You
they
can
look
bitch or
for,
cry, but if they say no, that's it. It's done.
yeah, it's done.
There's
Like,
no
I mean,
appeal. There's no.
no, because what happens,
please.
here's what happens. Here's what happens. And as a matter of fact, I mean, you can make your case, but the league doesn't really care.
They
Right?
don't.
The league looks at all 32 teams and they determine based off of player movements who deserves compensation because they lost too much talent.
Yeah.
Right? So here's what happens. Players
We
that
might
were
win
like
in that
key
case.
it's usually key marquee players. Like if you had a key marquee player that left your program and signed with another team, there you'd be like, hey, that's not fair, man. Like that was a huge part of my franchise, and now I've been disadvantaged as a program. And so the league might look at that and go, you deserve some type of draft compensation for the loss that you incurred.
And I
They
get.
say, hey, Washington is full of dumbass people in charge
No,
of their
dumbass
team
is this
and
dumbass
gave
is not,
away all of
No.
their draft picks to get
No,
one dude.
no.
Let's give
that,
him a
that doesn't constitute compensation.
Now I'm gonna tell you who. Like I'm gonna give you a player. Dallas is gonna get compensatory picks for Micah Parsons.
He might,
Yeah,
which is insane to me.
Wow.
Which is insane to me because they
Yep.
traded him and they got Clark and they got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And then so the question is going to be by the league, and nobody's got a say in it, right? They're going to determine
Yep.
was Dallas adequately compensated for their loss?
Yes.
And everybody's going to have their debate on it. But if you're a Dallas fan, you always will take more,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Because if I was a Dallas guy, I'd be like, no, I need some compensation, man. I didn't really want him to go.
So they don't reward you for jackassery and dumbassery.
No,
No.
they don't. No, it's a legitimate thing. Like, hey,
It's a process.
It's really to no fault of your own. You lost a degree of talent from your program, and you deserve some type of compensation to help your program be
So
more equitable with other teams' possibilities of having a program, right?
So to both of your points, at the time this happened, this truly was a stupid maneuver on the part of the organization to get rid of B-Rob. that way.
No, we got a 6th-round pick for B-Rob.
Oh, wait a minute. To get rid of what's his face, to get the comp pick in return.
Dante
Fowler.
Dante Fowler wanted to go. He didn't want to be a Washington.
Dante Fowler, we talked about this many times, Lord Sarge, because you wanted to keep
something for it.
You wanted to keep him. See, here's the real part about Dante Fowler, and we have to move on because I got too much material.
All right,
right?
Go.
Dante Fowler, let's get on with it. Dante Fowler was at the end of his contract. His contract was up. He was a free agent. We did not re-sign him. The reason why we did not re-sign him is because Dante Fowler did not want to stay.
He didn't want to stay.
He wanted to go home. Home for him is Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
He wanted to go home. And he wanted to get back with his own team. So we granted him his opportunity to go back home, which he did. So when the league looks at that, they're going to be like, really, did your organization lose? And what did you really lose? Right. So, like, I could see it both ways. There's nothing guaranteed. The league will make its decision if we get compensatory compensation or not. Chances are, I'm kind of with Shaq on this one. I doubt very seriously we're going to get any compensatory things. Like I've seen better players. I've seen a lot of better players leave this organization and us not get compensated for squat for it.
I thought we get a compensatory pick for Marshawn Lattimore too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I thought. That's what I was talking about. That's the one.
Marshawn Lattimore is still on this team.
For now.
Yeah, but like if you choose to cut somebody when they're on a contract, I don't think you get compensated.
You're going to comp,
So, it's different when you have a high name player that leaves your program. It's for me, if I would have given you an example of somebody who I thought we would get some kind of compensatory compensation for, we've had a number of 1st-round picks that have left this program.
Montez Sweat, Chase Young's balling out now.
Chase Young, Montez Sweat,
balling out.
Emmanuel Forbes. We've had a number of 1st-round draft capital players that have left this program, and we never got any compensatory for it.
But we didn't get for Montez or Chase.
Right. Nope. So if you don't
last year's business though, that's past.
Yeah, but it's always based off of past.
Yeah.
Right. So I would have expected that when your program loses somebody that they drafted in the 1st round, and you're not able to retain their services for whatever reason, that you would get some kind of compensation for that. But we didn't. So if we didn't get it for them, I highly doubt we're going to get anything for Dante Fowler.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. So issues with any value chart. I kind of want to go over value charts tonight so you guys can geek out. And I want to put this kind of thing to bed, right? But there's issues with value charts, right? Number one thing I want to tell you about value charts is there's no agreed upon chart accepted by the NFL. They're tools. There are many tools. You can Google them, and you can probably find yourself a half a dozen tools that are used by the NFL, right? Value charts are a tool. They're used to understand roughly what constitutes a fair trade. And just because something is a fair trade doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, right? It's just a tool to use, like, is that fair or not? From a mathematical situation, right? But here's the deal. Every team values picks differently. And every team values players differently.
Right.
They all have their own system. They all see things differently. Everybody's got an opinion, just like fans, right? We all got our own opinions. We don't agree on crap. They don't either, right? So they value players. They value picks completely and utterly different. But you use tools at least to get on the same sheet and say, well, this is my thought process. Like, are we close, right? But I will show you this. I will show you the tool that we use to evaluate the value of a draft pick, but I'll also show you a tool later on near the end of this program on how we evaluate players for player compensation of draft picks, because that's even more complicated. Here's another thing I want to warn you guys about with the issue of these things is the math is never clean. Right. So just because something's worth 700 points does not mean that like you get to 700 points or I have to get my 700 points or this deal doesn't go through. The math is never clean. It's just a guideline. Right. Yeah. It tells you like roughly around 700 points would be like a fair trade, but here's the deal. If you're the one proposing it, all right, you usually have to offer more than whatever the value chart is if you expect the other team to agree to you. because other teams are going to sit back. And if you're the receiving team on that, you're going to want more than what the value charge is. Like, why would I give it up to you for something that's just fair?
Yeah.
Like, why are you calling me? Unless it benefits me, I'm not going to do it. So you got to come in with an offer better than fair.
Unless it's something that you want, right? You're giving me something.
And
I have another need that I want, that you have something you can give me. Fulfill a need I want. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, the chances are, if you're calling me, this is about what you want, not what I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, you better come with something. And if you're coming with just a fair deal, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, that's not happening. Right? Why would I give up? Right? So you're going to have to come in with something more. All right. So, so my point here is, very rarely is a fair trade by these charts ever really take place. It's usually somewhere starting in the ballpark to start negotiations, but a team is going to get desperate based off of their needs. And the more desperate you are, the more lopsided that deal is going to get. Right? Here's also another thing. A lot of things that lead up to draft and the proposal of trading draft picks, they happen prior to the draft. They don't happen on draft day. Right? Very, very few happen on draft day, and there's a reason for that, right? It's because people are on the freaking clock and they're stressed, right? If you know your pick is 16 people from right now, yeah, you might be working the phones, but you're just reiterating, hey, we had that pre-approved deal if your guy's there, right? And are we still tracking that? Are we good? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know if my guy's going to be there or not, but yeah, that contingency deal that we planned in advance is kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, great. I'm waiting for you to call my phone, and you hang up. Right? Go ahead. What do you have? You look like you have a question, Lord Sarge.
I do. Forgive me, but this sounds a lot like buying a damn used car.
No, it's worse than buying a used car. It's worse. Because when you buy a used car, like, you got an idea of what you're going for. When you work on some of these deals, they're like all over the freaking place.
Yeah.
Like, they're just literally all over the place. And there is no guarantees, right? So, like, one of the things I'll tell you on my next one, and let's just go on the next chart and keep this thing going, right? So what are the things that teams need to keep in mind? All right. A proposed trade for draft day can fall apart even when it seems secured, right? Teams can agree to something at the 11th hour. They're like, nope, I'm not feeling it. Not doing it.
Happen. Yeah.
Right. And they just don't do it. Or they go, we had change of heart from organization. Or now I got a tidbit of news about that player, and I'm not feeling so warm about him anymore.
Yeah, because that's how Johnny Newtonfield does.
That's right. Hey, I just got this injury report in on a player. Now I'm not freaking trading up to go get him. I'm going to wait till he falls to me, right?
The Eagles too. Remember the Eagles got that still in linebacker at like number 30. We was all like, why is he still on the board? Jahar Campbell, why was he still on the board?
Values leading up to the draft can change daily. Sometimes they can change by the freaking hour.
Yep.
So, like, there's no certainty to this madness at all, right?
I would say, Coach, even with us, Trey Amos being around in the third round was insanity.
That's true. So you must be willing. And so here's the other thing that teams must be willing to do. You might be determined that I'm going to trade out of this freaking pick. Like, say we're in that position at number 7. Like, we do not want to pick at number 7. We want to trade out of it at all costs, right? Guess what? We still have to be prepared to pick at that position. Because what if nobody wants to trade him? What if nobody wants our pick at number 7?
Then we hog swaggle, baby. We hog swaggle.
No, you don't hog swaggle because there's nobody to hog swaggle with, right? Yeah. So, like, you have to have a card prepared to turn in of who you're going to pick at that pick. If no one's willing to pull the plug, to pull the trigger and trade with you, then you got to have a pick in mind, right, at that spot, right? So a deal is never done until it's done, right? I've listened to a lot of these young men I was talking. It's like, man, I had this plan and it just fell apart at the last second. Yeah, a deal's never done until it's done.
Yep,
until that call is turned in and the commissioner or whoever's up on stage calls the name, it's not done.
Yeah.
Right? It's not done. So immediately as a deal gets done, though, guess what? I've noticed, and I've seen this many, many times. Values of players immediately change once they get drafted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you might think of a player as really, really low, but when they get drafted high, guess where their value is? It's right there.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
might think a player is a top 15 pick, but when they fall to the third round, they get picked there. Guess where their value is? It's right there,
Yep.
right? So, like, their players' values change immediately based off of where they get drafted, right?
Yep. Look what happened last year with you know who.
That's
Oh,
right.
sure do.
Shadur Sanders.
Yep. Yeah.
He was
Prime
all
example of expectation versus reality.
Well,
reality.
but again, I don't know why people thought he was going to be a first round talent. The man, his quarterback comparisons was Geno Smith and Jared Goff, man. Let's cut it out.
But it is what it is, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
But
you
what
can't
you just
start-
said, Shadur Sanders was a prime example of that.
yeah,
part of his value got inflated because of who his daddy is,
yeah.
right?
But
And then there's certain people that is in his daddy's camp that probably pumped up his rating
yeah,
and everything else about him. So there's a lot of inflation going on.
yeah.
But then
Jeff, you're right, his
reality
daddy
was
hurt him.
is he ended up where he ended up.
Yep.
But now he's a starter.
But now he's a starter. So guess
But-
what? His
but
value
you're-
changed again.
The thing that you said, Coach, is true.
I don't think Cleveland gonna go into the next year with him as a starter.
Yeah,
That's a Stefanski project. I think it's over with.
yeah. But what the coach has said is true. Where you are is what your value is.
Yeah.
Where you came out is where your value is.
That's where your value is, and it's where your value is in that moment. Because
Yep.
like Shadur Sanders' value now that he's starting is different than he was on draft day.
That's right.
Right. So your values always change. Right. So
Yeah, he
the
went
next thing I
from
want to try to put
15
out is
to
trying to
starter.
work a new trade on draft day is extremely stressful. So like, and I see teams do it all the time. And I've actually seen the Washington Commanders do it multiple times.
Yeah.
You see them working the phones and they try to do it, and you can see people in the war room frustrated because they can't get stuff done. It is so hard to when people are on the clock to try to get a deal done, especially in the later rounds. Like, and that's when most of the trades happen. But if you think you're going to move a pick when someone's on the clock and they're on a 5-minute clock, that is hard to get a deal done
Yep.
because they're stressing. Like they're watching seconds tick off the clock and they have to turn a card in. Right. So like it is very, very difficult if you do not have some preconditional arrangements or you're not calling ahead to that team when they're not on the clock and you're not on the clock several picks out where you can kind of get something done. Where you could say, if my guy's still there, I'm going to call you back and say, let's do it. Right.
Yeah,
All right.
Pre-planning, good scouting, pre-planning.
And here's another thing. Trading players on draft day usually does not happen because trading players and to get the appropriate draft compensation, as I mentioned before, is even more complicated. And you can't overcomplicate draft day that's already complicated as it is.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff is saying they're speeding up the draft this year too. Less time between picks.
That's good. I'm glad they're doing that.
Jeff, are you
Yeah.
saying not just round one, but the subsequent rounds, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing that.
We'll research that and find out what it is.
Yeah.
Jeff, come back. Is it subsequent rounds, not just the first round?
I
That
look it
would
up
be
now.
huge.
Yeah, look it up. So here I want to show you some model comparison. These are 3 models. They're not the only 3. There are many, many models and tools, right? But I just kind of want to show the fans that are watching and that might watch in the future of this particular program. You want to look at these charts for all 7 rounds. I'm just showing you the top 10 picks of these 3 different models. Depending on which model is, I have a tendency to gravitate towards it. The most common of these is the Johnson model, but the Johnson model is kind of like not really used so much. It's more dated. People are moving more to Rich Hill or to Fitzgerald Spielberger. There are a couple other models that people use. One I like is the Patriots model. I'll show you that one in a little bit. That one's used a little bit more by Over the Cap and by a couple others. Fitzgerald Springer is one that's a little bit too complicated. And I think a lot of these have their strengths and weaknesses. Like, for instance, the Fitzgerald Springer model, probably mathematically using MIT formula is probably more accurate than, say, like the Johnson model that might be a little inflated early on. But the Johnson model is probably more accurate in later rounds than the Fitzgerald Springer because you can't get trade deal done using Fitzgerald Spring thing in the 6th or 7th round. And that'll make more sense later on when I show it to you.
Interesting.
So
They reducing it.
Depending on what you're trying to get done, you have to almost evaluate picks a little differently. And again, it's the starting point to negotiations.
Yeah, they reduced it. In the first round, they reduced it from 10 minutes to 8 minutes.
Wow.
I remember it used to be 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff was saying he heard the first 2 rounds were getting cut. So I spent an hour today looking at draft models at work there, Coach. And I came up with the best overall draft model being the Draft Tech model as being the best overall. And that left Washington having a complete draft capital score of 1793.6.
Yeah. Okay.
And how does that compare on your 3? What do these 3 models say we have coming into the draft? What are
so each of them score differently. So again, I just tell you it's a tool, and it doesn't matter like what kind of point scale you use as much as it does like what does it take to buy another pick? Right? That's what matters, right? But before we get into that, I just want to reiterate that these are tools to help with the discussion point. What you kind of want to know as a general manager is what somebody else values as an acceptable model. And that answer might be different. So if we're all general managers here, and I know Large Sarge is using one particular model, and I know Shaq is using a different model, then I'm looking at those models before we're having the conversation because I know what you're looking at, right?
Yep.
And so because I want to speak on your language, and you might be interested, well, frig, Mike, what model do you use, right? And I might be telling you, well, hey, I use Rich Hill, and this is what I'm seeing. You're just like, oh yeah, Rich Hill sucks, so I'm using this model, right? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
So here is another thing to consider. A lot of deals now are being done for future year's draft picks. So I want to read this to you because this was a pretty good article that was posted just this past April 2 years ago. Really, it still applies today by Jason Fitzgerald. But he goes, "We've had a little discussion over the past few days about discounting of future draft picks. The consensus in the NFL when a team trades up and includes future picks, that pick should be discounted by a full round, i.e., a second round pick in 2025 would be valued as a third round pick due to the uncertainty of the future, right? So, and he goes on and says, I personally never subscribe to this since the second round pick, regardless of where it goes, should still be kind of more valuable than a third round pick. Here's my thought process on it, right? So I give you my Coach Mad Mike perspective. When you are looking at future draft picks, of course, they're not going to be valued the same as current draft picks, regardless of which way you cut it. The reason why is because there is a lot of uncertainty in the future. For instance, if I was a general manager, I might not have a job next year to even use that pick.
Yeah.
Right? So who cares? Like, I'm trying to build a team now because my job might be on the line. Right? But if I am considering future draft capital and draft picks, I'm going to value them less because we're talking about picks that are just too far out in the future. I don't know what I'm going to need then or what value those picks are going to have or where they're going to be in the draft. I don't know if it's going to be the first overall pick or it's going to be the 32nd overall pick. I'm going to tell you, I hope I have a successful program where my personal picks are 32 overall.
Yeah.
Because that means I won the Super Bowl, right? So where if I had the number 1 overall pick, that means I was the sorriest freaking team in the NFL, right? And I might never even be around long enough to actually use that pick. So somebody else will come in behind me and use it. So anyway, when you're looking at future picks, the consensus around the league is it holds less value. So I'm under the school of thought that if you're trading me a third round pick of a future draft class, I'm going to treat it like it's the 32nd pick of that round. It's the last pick of that round. That's the value it's going to be to me.
Yeah.
Because it very well may be. And so anything above that's gravy. Right. So if you're trying to sell me, like, for instance, this year, a 2027 third round pick, to me, I'm going to grade it out on my scorecard like it is the 32nd pick of that round. Make sense?
It does. It does.
All right. So let's look a little bit. So you got to look at it really, really hard. You got to put this on the big screen, look at it, or pull it up yourself, the Fitzgerald Springberger model. To give you a general idea, each pick has a value. And that value, depending on how you trade up, you have to subtract the overall points of what the value you're going to the value of the pick that you currently have to get a differential of the score, right?
Yep.
So the math on this one's complicated because it's an MIT formula. I don't know very many people besides Over the Cap that actually use this model because it's an MIT model and coaches, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because when you're looking at trading 6th and 7th round picks later on, you can't get the math to even come close.
No. I was about to
So
say
it
that. You
doesn't
can't.
work.
And then you never know what kind of player you're gonna get. Look where Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy went. Look where where Tom Brady went. You never know what you're gonna you never know what you're gonna get.
That's right.
And
Thank you, Shaq. Thank you.
yeah. So
Yeah.
You
Good-
never
good
know.
point,
But the
Jack.
other thing is when you're trading for actual picks, like you can't like there's not a score low enough to go back. Like if you're in the 7th round and you're 236 and somebody wants the 236 spot and you're like at 252, there is no math that you can do to give that guy proper compensation
no.
to move up there the way this chart does. The one I show you later on, it'll show you exactly what you need to be able to do to get there. But it flips the wrong way at the front end of the draft. Like there's no universal model that does everything
That
right.
does everything.
Right, that does everything. So if I ever really wanted to MIT geek this thing out, I would probably create that model, but no one would ever look at it.
So, Coach, if
Right.
you were sitting right now in Adam Peters' position today, would you be telling your staff to say, I want you to use these 3 models and give me your best decisions? I want a conglomeration of what these 3 models tell you, and I want your best picks out of that. What would
No.
your strategy be?
No, it wouldn't be that at all.
Because clearly any one model is not going to give you the answer.
No.
Yeah, but I don't really care what anybody else's view is of a model, right? Because I'm not making decisions based off of a model
Well,
directly.
you're taking data, right?
So I take data, and I really don't care about anybody else's opinion because I'm looking at data as empirically.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is data is data, and so I don't
Right.
care about your opinion. So what I care about your assessment on is who you want.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking my staff is if I stay at number 7, who are you wanting?
See, but this is one of the problems that we had last year in the draft, right? Like I'm glad you brought up Adam Peters because we're going over these charts, we're going over these models and things like that, right? But I don't think Adam Peters had enough say so in who we drafted. If you just got Kingsbury handing them notes, notepads with players' names and stuff on it, I don't think he
So
had
there's
enough
a
say so.
difference between
Yeah.
hip shooting and having a strategic plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm a different kind of guy because I need to have a strategy, right? I
Yeah.
have to have goals I plan on getting out of this particular draft. If you guys remember the movie Draft Day,
Yep.
right? If you guys remember when Kevin Costner folded up a piece of paper and put it in his pocket, right? And it had a player's name on it, and he said, "This guy, no matter what." No matter what, right? So all the craziness that he did on draft day, right? He still had a piece of paper in his pocket that he wrote down and goes like, no matter what happens this draft, I'm getting this dude,
Yep.
right? That's not necessarily a strategy, but it kind of was a piece of a strategy, right? Like he knew he at least wanted that player. Whether he went number 1 overall, which is what the crazy thing he did when he could have got him in a later round, or he got him later. But he knew he didn't want to leave that draft without that player,
Yep.
right? You kind of have to have a general idea of looking at your draft board of what it is that you want.
Mhm.
And that it can't be just the offensive coordinator going like, passing you a note going like, Jason Connerly, I want that guy.
Yeah.
And then because you pass it to you on a napkin, you go, oh, I'm going to use my number 1 draft pick on him. No, that's not part of the strategy, dude.
It's not.
Like, come on. I'm like, it's nice that you kind of like this guy, but like we have other things that we are trying to do within this program. I'm not
Yep.
saying that Josh Connolly's not a good football player. He started at right tackle almost the whole year.
Yep.
I'm just saying it didn't appear to me like much of a strategy. Go ahead, Lars Sarge.
So let me clue you into the chatter that it's now the birds are chirping out of the head shed. So we had a successful season, new influence, successful season. You didn't hear any cracks in the woodwork, right? Everything was humming, right? This year, the train crashed off the track. Today, the rumor mill is a buzzing. And you know who is in the middle of that buzz mill that has not been congruent? Take a wild guess.
Dan Quinn.
No. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are like this. Guess who's the oddball?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury. And Kingsbury has been the outlier saying, give me what I want. I want this. This is how I want. Has not been congruent with the other two. Has had the arguments. Has pushed what he wants.
But still, I will tell you this.
Jack, exactly. And
but see,
he's
this
going
is
to be the out guy. He's getting pushed.
I get that, but that's going to be scapegoat crap that goes on.
No. Apparently, it's been an undercurrent even last year. And they
I mean, Cliff Kingsbury apparently had to say that influenced, right? Like, if you're a good general manager, this is Adam Peters' fault. Because if you're a good general manager and my offensive coordinator hands me a freaking napkin and says, I want Jason Conner, I'm like, well, hey, that's good for you that you won. He's not going to be there when we pick.
Yeah.
Because I'm not taking him with the first overall pick.
But apparently,
not first overall, but my number one pick.
It's coming through the wire, through the agents, that this is what affected the draft last year. Cliff having an influence, an overt influence on how that draft came out.
We knew our defense was over. We drafted more offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
We drafted more offensive players.
That's what I heard today that came out. That we didn't hear anything. There was nothing leaking last year. Now it's leaking out that this has been an undercurrent. So it's interesting.
So I think that's all emotion and that's all crap. Right?
No,
so here's the deal. Here's the deal. When you are a general manager, you run the draft show, period. You come up with a strategy. You get feedback from your coordinators well in advance, right? You have a scouting department. You also have a head shed department. You get the feedback. You're watching film. You got all kinds of tools at your disposal. You got all the open source information. You have a medical department that's running medicals on everybody. You got combine data, pro day data. You got college film. You got college coach input. You get input from 1,000 different sources. But what you have to do as a general manager is you have to take all these data points that come in and you need to develop a strategy. And when you develop a strategy, you got to be the strong guy in the room.
Yep.
Kind of like draft day. Costner did not do what his freaking head coach and all of his other coaches were doing. Actually, during that, everybody thought he was freaking lost his thing, to include his owner.
Yep.
Thought he lost his flipping mind.
Lost his mind.
Right?
See you now.
You have to be the guy that's willing to go out boldly and stand behind your own freaking strategy.
Yep.
Right? Because at the end of the day, it's on you. Right? And so, you got to go in there. And so, what you can't allow happen, this is Adam Peters' fault, nobody else's. Right? You can't allow your offensive coordinator to hand you a napkin that says Josh Connerly on it, and you go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just throw out my strategy that I've been working on the past 5 months. And, okay, I'm going to draft this guy with my number 1 draft pick.
But that is apparently what has happened.
That's what's been going on. That's what's been going on. Yeah.
Well, you either did not have a strategy that you truly believed in, or you're just trying to make everybody happy in the room, which you cannot make everybody happy in the freaking room.
I think that's what happened. He was trying to make him happy.
And I'm going to tell you right now.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Like the stronger personality took over and they allowed it.
When Dan Quinn loses his job, Adam Peters is losing his too. Simply put.
All right, let me throw something else at it. Let me throw something out at you.
Please let me get this done before we go on that. All right. let me finish this part. So Rich King's draft period here, I want to show you what the end of the draft looks like where the points are closer. This allows you, like when you're trading in the first round on the Rich Hills thing, when you're trading, you're looking back, you have to get the math to work on these lower end picks. And so, as you can tell, like if you have a 6th round pick and somebody's in the 7th round, sometimes you need to give like 2 to 3 7th round picks to move up into the 6th round to get the same amount of draft compensation. All right, because you're using the point system to be able to do that. But you're not, if you're trying to go from like the 7th round, you do not have enough 7th rounds in the draft to move up into the 1st round.
Right.
Like it's mathematically impossible.
Right.
Right. So like, and here's the thing. If you look at this particular model, look at the difference between the value of the number 1 overall pick compared to like the 5th overall pick. The 5th overall pick is worth less than half. Right. And if you say like, I'm going to also use my number 1 pick next year, your number 1 next year is even worth half of that. So if you were to move from number 5 to number 1 on this model, you're probably giving up your next 3 first-round picks to move up to the number 1 spot. And that's where you see those mega deals that happen because that's the way they read this chart.
So, Coach, just tell me, if we had pulled out our starters and played to win with our 2nd and 3rd string, played our hearts out to win, but we lost this game, just this one game, and we went to number 4 in the draft. What would that have meant in terms of our draft capital points based on this chart? How much more would that have given us?
Chart here, if we went from number 4 from number 7, you're talking about a difference of 65 points, which is about equivalent to, on this chart, about a 3rd round pick. You basically lost a 3rd round pick.
Question number 2.
In value.
Same strategy. We pulled out all the same stops. We did not play anyone who wasn't chasing a bonus on the field or a record that didn't have any personal stake. We were taking care of every player that was chasing a bonus or a pay dividend or a performance bonus.
Right.
And everyone else was out. And we lost the last 2 games, putting us in 3rd place.
Yeah, that 3rd place there is a huge difference. You're talking of 100 points there.
This chart.
On this chart here, that's a 2nd round pick. So an additional 2nd round pick, which we don't have, by the way. So we could have gotten one back. So that's the part where you have to ask yourself, did I win or did I really truly win those games or did I lose them? I actually under the thought process that when we beat the New York Giants, the Giants were the real winners of that game.
Yes, they were.
Because they improved their draft stock to a top 5 pick, and we fell out of the top 5.
Yep.
So, like the Giants actually won that football game, in my opinion.
They did, and they're building a sturdy young core up there in New York.
Right, and we're gonna fill in out years. No one's going to remember that football game.
Nope.
Yep.
But people are going to see it over the next few years, what the New York Giants are going to do compared to what we're going to do.
Ebony agrees with you, Mad Mike. Ebony agrees with you.
I'm telling you, they built a nice starting core up there.
Philly's already forgotten us. They're like, okay, bye-bye, Washington. We're going to the playoffs. See you later, whatever. Yep. The fans drank their beer. Oh, we're angry at you, head coach. You lost against they're already on. We're going to the playoffs.
So this is one I found that is actually used by the New England Patriots. They use more of a Johnson model, but it's abbreviated.
Oh, really?
Because they accounted and they score differently on the back half of the draft.
Belichick's model? Is that Belichick's model?
I don't know if it's Belichick model. I mean, as much as I know it's used currently by the New England Patriots. And they have this thing called additional rounds, but like it's really compensation for the compensatory pick. So I'm going to explain to you how this works, right? So if you look at the front of it, it kind of looks like a Johnson model, but if you look at the back end, it kind of looks like more of a Hill model.
Yep.
And so, and the reason why they like this is because it gives you a blended approach of all the models almost that seems a little bit more realistic if you were to call somebody else up on the phone.
Sounds good.
Right. And so like, and their additional rounds that they do is really, I don't like the term additional rounds. I really think it's just, I would call it additional picks, because what happens is people will get compensatory picks. So when you look at a pick, I care more about the number than the round. Like if you tell me I'm 96 overall, if you look at this chart, you would look at that and say, well, that's the end of the third round. Well, that depends. It depends on compensatory picks, on where that actually really falls. Because if other people have compensatory picks, but still, I know wherever it falls, I'm getting the 96th overall pick, right? So what that additional chart does there is it accounts for however many compensatory picks were covered, that depending on the number of that pick, that would be the value of that pick. So I kind of like this chart for that reason.
So let's run the same scenario. Based on this chart, if we lost this last game, where would we fall? What would we have gotten? The same.
So they said we would be number 5.
But we've been number 5.
We would have been number 5. So that would have been a 1,700. Instead, we're a 1,500. So we lost 200 points in that. 200 points is equivalent to a
third round,
a second round pick.
So on this chart, our value would be a second round.
It would be the back end of the second round.
Better.
Now, if we lost the Giants game and the Philly game, and we would have had the top 3 pick, right? Let's say we would be number 3. That would be 2,200 points compared to 1,500. That's 700. 700 points is a first round pick.
Bottom of the first round.
It is number 25 number 26 of the first round, 700 points.
Wow.
That's what you lost.
That's ridiculous.
So you gotta so this is where you get this is football psych. So it's the psyche of a team.
Ridiculous.
Right, but reason why football psych is important because of the psyche of things. Yep. Do you give in to fans' emotion? We need to beat our divisional opponents. Or do you think, I know what's in the best interest of the fans, I'm trying to build a program for the future here.
Well,
I'm going to fight to win, but I'm going to fight to win with my backups because I'm evaluating talent. And if they win, I know it's because I have a lot of value on my team. But if I don't win, I know I'm going to get draft capital to be able to increase the value of my team.
Well, but we already know how this team operates. They gave it to the fans when they signed Terry McLaurin. You know what I'm saying? So we already know how this team operates. And sometimes the fan base don't know best.
Fan base does not ever know best.
Yeah, like come on, man.
There's nothing about.
I solemnly swear that I do not know best. I solemnly
know best.
I solemnly swear I can't do the live long and prosper properly, but live long and prosper, I do not know best.
Listen,
but I am fully subscribed to Coach Mad Mike football philosophy.
So I look at this and I go, like for Terry McLaurin, I told you guys last offseason, I would have traded him because I don't do big contracts with 30-year-old players ever. And his stock was as high as it's ever going to be last offseason. And if I could have traded him to another team and it got cumulative points for him, oh my goodness, would I be having a fun draft this year?
That's right.
I would have been shopping like a mole.
Yep.
No, so for real. And what did we get for him? Nothing?
Nothing. Quad injury. And an ankle injury.
Yeah, we got a guy who had
and I'm married to him for the next 2 years.
And we got
I'm married to him for the next 2 years, and his production, I guarantee you, is not going to be worth diddly.
This year we got a guy who had 50% of his prior 6 years. That's what we got.
Yeah. And you know what? That's typical when you sign a 30-year-old player to a massive contract. Their production almost to the T
drops, declines every time.
Every time.
It's a statistical likelihood. Right?
It just really is.
It's an anomaly when it doesn't happen, right?
It is an anomaly when it doesn't happen because there's a number of things that happens with the player. Number one, psyche, right? This is football psyche. Their psyche they're not hungry anymore. They're like,
Nope.
I got my last contract. Like, I set up my retirement. I'm good. So, like, what makes you try harder? Really? Your own pride, maybe. But here's the other thing that happens. You're more
quad
susceptible to injury.
A quad injury?
Yeah, there's little things that sometimes your body just starts hurting.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
You just start hurting.
quad?
Hey, even look, we all Army
For
guys.
6
And-
weeks? A
look,
quad?
That's what I'm saying. We all Army guys, right? So we know when you take that physical fitness test, the numbers are high. Then it gets to that area where it's really, really high. Then next thing you know, you only got to do like 25 push-ups to pass the PT test. So it just comes with age.
It comes with age.
It
But
comes
here's
with
the other
age.
thing. When you come with age, that 25 push-ups hurt more than the 84 you did when you were 18.
That's right.
It hurts more.
There's a reason that chart.
And it takes you longer to
descales.
recover from it.
There's a reason that chart descales with your age.
That's right.
There's a
Right.
reason that's built in because smart people built it that way because they
Yeah.
understand
You know what?
age
As a
does to
general
a man's body.
manager, as a general manager, you have to understand physiologically what happens to a player when they turn 30 years old and they start getting on the other side of it. You always
There's
have the
not.
exception to the rule, but as a general planning consideration, you got to consider that you're on the backside of that bell curve. You're
Yep.
going to go down.
Yep.
And I talked about this before. You never give somebody a contract based off of what they did.
Yeah.
You always give somebody a contract projecting what you think that they're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
That's the difference. We paid Terry McLaurin based off of what he did, not projecting what we think he's going to do.
Yep.
And you have to, and if he goes and he's pumping it up like, I demand a trade, I'm going to hold out, I'm going to do this, because players do that. Fine.
Oh,
Because of the
Good for them.
preseason with an ankle injury.
You got to be like, hey, well, I'll seek a trade. Okay, well, you have permission to go do that.
Yep. Go.
Yeah.
Go. Bye.
Go.
Go do that. And if you find a suitor that gives me what I want, I'll accept your trade.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I
Goodbye.
expect to see you in camp,
Yeah.
or I'll start finding you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree with you, Jack. Agree with you 100% on your comment.
What was Jack's comment?
Like Prescott is going down in value and Hurts is going to get the same way, and that's why we need to pay Jaden here in a year or two.
So here, I'll get to Jaden here. Well, actually, let's talk about it real quick right now. I know we're over on time, but since the thing was coming, here's my
Got
view
no
on
Monday
Jaden.
Night Football. We're good.
All right, no Monday Night Football. We're good. So here's my view on Jaden, and then you guys can say what you guys feel about it, right? Jaden, to me, is not on a very good path. And I'm not just saying that because of Jaden Daniels. I'm saying that because the organization is not setting him up for success.
Right.
We are using the same model that Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan used with RG3. And the same results happened. Number 2 overall pick, rookie MVP, second year broke him.
Yep.
That's exactly what we did. Second overall pick. He became rookie MVP last year. We broke him this year. And in 2 years, on the current glide path we are on this run option kind of system that we're on, if we maintain it, RG3 2.0, a.k.a. Jaden Daniels, will not be in this league. He will not be our franchise quarterback. So, and we will go through 27 quarterbacks before we find the next quarterback we want to break.
Yep.
The way to change courses right now is we have to change our system and get him on a situation where he's healthy, and we plan him and develop him to be able to sustain himself for a longer career. And we got the next 2 years to determine whether or not he's going to be that quarterback for us. If you ask me right now, is Jaden Daniel the future franchise quarterback of this franchise? I would say no. But I would
agree.
caveat that by saying he has the potential to be.
Yep.
But it's going to require a different thought process by the entire organization to get him on a proper path over the next 2 years to make that determination of whether he's going to be that franchise guy. Because his price tag, I'm going to tell you now,
It's
will
gonna be
over
high.
$1 million a year.
Yep.
Not if
60
he has
million.
a bad year
I'm going to
next.
be sure.
60
Not if he has
million.
a bad year next year. Not at all.
Well, you just didn't listen to what I just told you. We have to put him on the course to be successful. We've got to determine that over the next
We
2
need a
years.
new offensive
If
coordinator.
he-
We need
we already said
a
that.
quarterbacks coach.
We already said that. All these things are going to do, and the scheme and the philosophy and everything already have to be in place. Like all
Yep.
those things have to happen. The entire organizational philosophy has to change to move in that direction.
He has 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions,
But I'm
4,000 passing yards.
But
Yeah,
that's some of that is not on him.
No.
Some of
right.
that some of that is the
But I
organizational
mean, if he
approach.
puts up
We
stats,
broke him.
yes,
We broke him, just like we broke RG3, right?
And,
It's
and, yep.
disingenuous to put this on the player, actually.
Yep, and then his mom out here getting mad at the fans, calling. No, this is our. Don't stop calling him RG3 2.0. Like, no, we seen this play out before. We seen it play out with him.
yeah.
We seen it play out with Alex Smith. You know what I'm saying? We seen it play out with RG3. We seen it play out with Donovan McNabb. We seen this play out before here in
Yeah.
DC.
We
We
don't
need
do
a
a good job
whole
of
new
doing this in
system
DC.
that
Yeah,
supports him. We need a whole
And
new
the
system.
problem we have in DC is you don't have the continuity voice that reminds people of history.
yep,
And people don't really study their history anymore. They're in
Yeah.
the here and now, and they think that they're just going to do everything better, and they
yep.
They
don't.
will tell you the future.
Right. So let's keep this going so we can get some other things going. But that's my view on RG3. The jury's still out on him. I think we need a
Very much.
shift. We're going to find out this offseason. We'll all give you our analysis of whether or not they're moving in the right direction to make
Oh, yeah.
James Daniels our franchise quarterback. But this franchise also does stupid crap, right? He could fall apart over the next 2 years and we still sign for $60 million. Why? Because we really are that stupid as an organization.
Yes.
And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. If you learn nothing else from watching the deals that have been done by the past by this organization, this is the most retarded organization I've seen in the National Football League.
And look, and now we
By
got
far.
and look, now we got basketball guys in there too.
We got basketball guys here. That's why Ben Johnson didn't want to come here. So
Hey,
when you're
I'm gonna
listening
tell you,
to
I'm
when you're
gonna
listening to
lay
these
this
other
prediction
pundits,
down.
when you're
James
listening
Daniels
to
is not our franchise quarterback. I'm gonna lay that prediction down. He is not.
well, I'm not going to say that. Like I want
I
to give the
am.
guy a
I'm
chance.
gonna lay it
because-
down. January 4th, 2026. He's not the future franchise quarterback of
And
this
you may
organization.
very well be right just based off the history of this organization. But I would tell you what, if I was part of that organization, I would say I would be doing everything I possibly can that he would be my franchise.
I
guy.
agree with you.
But
Ain't
like
gonna happen.
we're not currently on that path.
No.
Exactly.
So let's move on here. To determine the value of a player is very, very different when it comes to draft compensation. For example, the Washington Commanders traded running back Brian Robinson earlier this season to the San Francisco 49ers for a 6th-round pick. How was that value even determined? Right? So there are tools that come into play off of that. And I'm going to show you right now. I want to share a screen for those people who are watching and who are going to go back and watch this later on for those who are going to do that. Okay. So this is important for people who want to go back and watch this and go like, hey, that's a good question. How is that determined? Right. And I want to learn how that makes that happen. So I want to share that with you. All right. So let me go over to this. I'm going to, wait a minute. I got to switch this here to pull that up. All right. I got to take this one down first and put this one up. All right. Can everybody see this? All right. So this is the over the cap page. There's a lot of stuff on here that talks about things like cap calculator, restructuring people's contract, free agency trackers, salary caps, players' values, blah, blah, blah. Like all kinds of garbage is on this team, right? But what I want to show to you guys is this. This is the subscribe thing. Now, I'm not paid to promote over the cap. I'm not getting like this is not me promoting. So I actually encourage you guys not to pay this unless you really, really want to learn this. If you're not a geek like me, don't pay the $20 a year. I'm telling you now, don't pay it. So I'm not telling you to subscribe to this thing. I'm saying don't subscribe to it unless you really, really want to know, like you're fascinated like I am, like how are these decisions really, really made? I pay $20 a year because I actually look at numbers. I'm crazy that way. Most people are not. So if you're an average fan, do not waste your $20 on this. All right. So I hope I said that enough. I am not promoting this. I'm just telling you, like, this is where I go and where other people go to make those determinations. So what's on this thing when you subscribe to it? It's a bunch of freaking numbers. It's data. And they have player comparison tools, which you can get free online. There are exclusive depth charts. Okay, what does that mean? You can get depth charts online. You don't need this, right? They have key contract matrix. Now, some people don't care. Like, I don't care he's going to make an extra $2,500 if he shows up and he drinks 3 bottles of water per day, right? But there's all kinds of stupid guarantees that are in contracts. I like reading that stuff. Other people could care less, right? they have advanced free agency charts. What is an advanced free agency chart? Well, that allows you to look at not only what's their overall projected value are, but their interest, what they're looking for, what team interests are looking for, who is a better fit for what kind of scheme that's projected to be doing, who's aligned to certain particular coaches, and there's some additional data on there. There's team contracts in there. Like, what are the contracts? What are their projected contracts? What are some of the strategies that could be utilized in that? Some of that stuff's extremely and utterly boring legal talk. But some people like me actually like that crap, right? They have contract
How do they get
views.
this data, Coach?
They get it from the actual league and the teams, because this is products that they use. But here's the caveat I put on it. It's not the only tool they use, right? So they use several different tools. So don't think you guys subscribe to this to know everything that's going on, right? It is one of the tools. It's kind of like the draft value chart, right? You have like 6 different versions. Well, people use over the cap as another data point. Like when you're trying to figure out what is a player worth, what is a player worth, you kind of go here because it has some projection models of what the player's worth, and you can filter it. Like the advanced contract view is one that I use a lot. And the reason why I use it is because I can filter by like a corner on here based off of like age of the player, snap counts. I can drill down on like different things about that player, like their cap number, guarantees within their salary, what are their projections like, what are their fits like, there's a lot of different things that are in there that give me an indication whether or not that player is a good fit, right?
Is this where you were last night when we were talking in this
Say
video?
again?
Is this where you were last night when we were talking? And that
Yes, I look at this a lot, right? So
that is
contract.
Just so you all know, Coach was giving me some data last night that blew my mind. Like seriously, and I was wondering how the heck he was getting it.
So I subscribe to this thing because it's $20 a year because I actually like data. Again, do not get this if you're not a data guy, because you're wasting your $20. You're going to get on there and like, why did I spend $20 on this? You're going to be hugely disappointed if you're not a data guy. But if you're a data guy like me that geeks out on this, I love it. So, and to me, it's like a really good spend of $20. But don't do it just because, like, I'm not selling it.
I'm not sleeping. I'm teasing.
Dollars per statistic, right? There is actually matrix off of there that if you catch a football in the National Football League, that has a dollar value associated with it.
Yeah.
Right? If you make a sack, there's a dollar value associated with that. The one thing that I got freaking stupid crazy about is how overinflated a sack is worth.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, I have a different view. Let me give you an example, because for those who geek out, right? To me, I go by yardage. I don't go by sacks. Why is that important? If I have a player that loves that can penetrate a line and tackle running backs for a loss, and it's a 5-yard loss on a play, tell me how that's different than sacking a quarterback for a 5-yard loss.
It's not.
It's a 5-yard loss on a play.
Yeah, either or. Yeah.
Either or. But guess what? You're going to pay a lot for a player who got the sack, a lot more for the player than you're going to pay for the player who got the tackle for a loss.
Yeah.
But the result of the play was the same. It was a 5-yard loss on the play.
Yep.
To me, if I'm evaluating and I'm trying to figure out dollar per statistic off of this, and this is where I get geeked out on, I have a tendency to want to go after players that go for tackles of the loss more than sacks.
Yeah, give me
because they're cheaper, and I got the same result.
Give me 2 guards and 2 tackles who have high numbers of tackles for losses.
Well, that's offense. I'm talking about linebackers versus edge rushers.
Or I mean, you know what I'm talking about?
Defensive tackles,
tackles,
defensive edge.
Guards.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm talking about like when I'm looking at
linemen who get tackles for losses, defensive tackles.
But when I see a defensive lineman who can penetrate a line and he might have 3 sacks, but he has 8 tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
To me, that's the total of 11 lost plays.
Yeah.
Does that weigh more on me, or the guy who got 6 sacks? You're like, well, the guy who has 6 sacks is better than the guy who has 3 sacks. Not always.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I just look at things differently,
Yeah.
right? And when I look at dollars per statistic, to me, I look and I geek out on like I care more about the end result. I
Yeah.
care more about like can a defensive player penetrate a line and cause a negative play to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? How about this? Forced fumbles. You never talk about players when they have how many forced fumbles do they have,
Yeah. You never,
right?
you never hear about that. Like,
You never hear about it.
you never hear about the players getting paid for that. Well, some of them get bonuses for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you have a certain amount of,
I did.
But if I know of a
somebody
player
got
in
a
the
bonus
league,
yesterday for it, and they talked about it on TV in one of the games.
but this is the difference of what I'm talking about. There's that highlighting that somebody made a good play, and looking at somebody's compensity to be able to do that. If I have a guy who statistically has the ability to punch the ball out on a consistent basis on an offensive player, who just that guy, he hits so hard he causes fumbles.
yeah,
To me, that guy is never promoted in a dollar per statistic or average as a great player. But people are just like sacks win the day because sacks are glorifying, right? But they're like not really the best play on the field. If I have a guy who can create turnovers because he forces fumbles, and you're going to tell me he's a lot cheaper, I'm going to be like, I'm going for the cheaper guy.
Yes, of course.
I want a guy who can create turnovers.
Helps your organization overall better.
Right.
Cheaper.
And all of a sudden that sack doesn't mean so much to me. If you can freaking get a tackle for a loss and you can create turnovers, you're a more value to me.
And you get a mediocre sacker, and you see your line with people who force fumbles and get tackles for losses. And you create an overall monster defense.
It's never that clean, but my point is there's a lot of other things that you can look at for a player to determine someone's value and their worth to your organization.
That's a great point.
Right? And when you're looking at snap counts and the propensity of being able to do that, like if I know a guy can create a turnover once out of every 1.5 games, that's important to me.
Yeah. No, it is.
That's a great
That's
point.
important to me.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's important in a draft scenario, right? And
right?
when you're drafting a player, what is that stat? That's a great point.
Right. And so, and you got to be careful with that because college football is different, right? But here's where I would use it. I would use it in a situation like a B-Rob situation, right? I think the San Francisco 49ers won on that deal.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because when I look at the overall value on a value chart of a 6th-round pick that we got, to me, that's about a 2-point pick.
Yeah, they won.
And when I look at Brian Robinson and where he scales out of that, now Brian Robinson, when he went to San Francisco, his production even got worse.
It did. So that's what I'm saying. Did we really lose? Did we really lose?
Well, this is. So I went back and I kind of looked at Brian Robinson's situation and where he's at. Like they had him for a while at the bottom of the running back depth chart, so they didn't put him in a whole lot.
That's right.
But when you saw him in there, the dude was freaking balling like crazy.
His yards per carry went up.
Yeah.
It was roughly about 4.5 yards per carry, which is great, but they weren't really utilizing him. But my point is when I saw him in there was an intensity about him. They just didn't stick with him because he wasn't the flashy object. He's buried in the depth chart. So when I look at him, would I have done the deal as the San Francisco 49ers? It would depend on how I envision on how to use Brian Robinson. I think there's a way to use Brian Robinson to make it be valuable for your organization, but that's where you got to make that determination. Am I going to do it to justify spending a 6th-round draft pick on it?
And well, so this is the thing right here with Brian Robinson, though. Brian Robinson is probably not going to be on that roster next year. So did we really lose this by getting a 6th-round pick? Because he's probably not going to be on the 49ers roster next year.
I don't know.
I think it's too hard to determine that because I also see what we do with 6th-round picks.
That's a good question, Shaq.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I seen us spend 6th-round picks on guys that end up on our practice squad and getting cut. They never even see our 53-man roster.
That's a good question, Shaq.
So to me, we might have won. To me, if I'm the general manager in that situation, I would want to be in the 49ers in that situation. Because here's my rationale. Most 6th-round picks are throwaway picks.
That's right.
There's very, very few, like most of them are developmental players that you're going to have to put on a practice squad or might be in the back of your roster that might not be in the league in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had the ability and I believed in a player that I might think in my mind is in the wrong system, that might have talent, and I'm not saying B-Rob's that guy. I'm just using this as an example, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I believe that this guy is in the wrong system and that he would flourish in my system if I gave him a year or two, would that justify a 6th-round pick? Yes, I would do that all day because I think that's the best use of a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not doing it at the front end of my thing. I'm not giving up a 2nd and 4th for a 30-plus-year-old friggin' left tackle like we did in Laramie Tunsil.
Yep. I still don't understand. I'd have beat that horse to death.
We did. All right, so I wanted to show you this because, like, this is another tool that's used out there by teams to really kind of get behind of, like, how do I evaluate talent, right? And I think that's kind of cool, right?
That's cool.
So I kind of want to do this, kind of wrapping it up, right? We talked about some of this before. I want to highlight hiring new coaches before the NFL draft.
That's right.
Right. We are in that mode now where we need to be thinking about who we're keeping. I think it's all a unanimous consensus that Joe Witt is gone.
Yep.
I agree. I'm so glad you said Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris is at the top of my board to be DC on here. I am not so sure about OC right now. To me,
OC picks are very thin this year. There are not a lot out there to be desired.
But I would interview a few of them, and I would be concerned about their thought process because this is a copycat league.
Yeah.
And I don't want you thinking that you can walk in this organization with a run option scheme because you see it used around the NFL and go like, oh, you got Jaden Daniels, run option. I would be like, that would be a disqualifier for you if you walked in
right off the bat. Yeah.
Right off the bat. Or I would tell you right up front.
OC, there are not a lot of OC candidates out there this year. There aren't.
Or I would tell you as an offensive coordinator, hey, I love you as a coach. What else do you know as an offensive coach? Because I'm telling you, read options, what I do not want. Mm-hmm. Do you have more in your repertoire that you can bring to the table? Can you put together something that can change how Jaden Daniels approaches the game so we can protect him for the long term? Because I have a vision of him being my franchise quarterback here, and I'm afraid we're going to break him.
Coach, is there anyone we could bring up from the college ranks as an offensive coordinator to give a shot? Anyone that's like –
actually, Vanderbilt's head coach.
Answer there?
Yeah, Vanderbilt's head coach. I like him. Florida just fired their head coach, but he knows offense. You feel what I'm saying? So there are a couple guys that I can see in the college ranks. They will be suit for offense.
Jack is saying Georgia's head coach.
Yeah, I would have to look at it a little bit deeper because here's the deal. There's a lot of head coaches that don't run pro offenses. So I would want a guy who runs a pro system, and I want to know what kind of pro system you're doing. And I want to know that it's going to translate to the NFL, right? And that it's the right fit scheme-wise for the players that we have, right? So that takes a lot deeper analysis of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Napier, the head coach at James Madison now. Yeah, thank you for talking about my alma mater like that. I love JMU football, but no.
Billy Napier. He at James Madison now. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So him being at James Madison is the great place for him. I love JMU football. That's where I was at. So I mean, that's my school. I love my JMU Dukes. But like I'll tell you that for the Washington Commanders, I'm going to reserve my pick for OC right now. But I do love the Raheem Morris for DC option.
Yep.
I love that a lot because I think his scheme defensively fits perfectly with Washington.
Yeah,
he knows Dan Quinn inside and out. I think he'll fit really real well into it.
Yeah.
I've always tracked Raheem Morris's career, and he's always fascinated me. He would be exceptional for the that we have. Exceptional.
I don't go that far. but I think he'd be a good
No, I think he would be exceptional. I don't like him as a head coach,
No, but as a DC,
but as a DC, I love him.
yeah,
I can't say that about Dan Quinn. I don't like him for either or.
me neither. Never
Right?
have.
I think he's a good fit with Dan.
So,
That's as far as I'll take it.
Yeah.
so, all right. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know we geeked out. I know we went an hour and a half tonight. So I hope you guys like that. You know, when we go into this, what I plan on doing, if you guys are interested in doing this, is I've had Jack recommend, and Jack's on tonight. Jack, we are planning, Jack, who's on tonight. Thank you for being here. We are planning on Jack being on this show next week. So you are going to want to tune in. Jack is going to be on the show with us next week. We're going to bring him in and give him some comments, right? Jack has also requested. So we have homework to do, guys. He wants to know what are our top 5 picks at every position for the draft. So I'm going to put together my top 5 picks for every position at the draft. Large Sarge, Shaq,
All right,
you please
I'll
do
have
the
it.
same.
I got you.
We're going to talk about the top 5 picks at every position for the draft and give our predictions of who we think we might take.
Only 30
who
people.
stay at positions,
It's not many.
right? And I tell you what, Jack, I'm certainly looking forward to having you on the show, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to what you think that your top 5 picks are at every position too, because there's a lot of positions. It's not that clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that clean when you start thinking about top 5. When you get to some of these positions, like the pundits don't agree on who the top 5 of
No,
these
no,
players
heck no.
are.
It's about
And-
time you're on the show, Jack.
But
Right.
Jack, yeah, we're going to look forward to you having you on.
Now,
All right, guys.
and now before we get off this show tonight, because I know we have run long, the season is over. Marshawn Lattimore needs to be gone today. I better wake up tomorrow morning and see
didn't
that he was
happen.
cut.
It
He
didn't
better- I
happen.
better wake up tomorrow morning and see that he was
It
cut.
didn't happen.
That's all I got to say.
It didn't happen. I checked right before. It did not happen.
Come on, man. That's it.
So-
That's
He
all I
did
got
not
to
clear
say.
his locker.
I think they might have. I think they might have took a day off and slept in. But you know what? When you come back to work tomorrow, that should be the first transaction you make.
Wipe your hands.
Before you go to lunch tomorrow, that transaction should be processed.
Him
Yep.
and Mariota need to be gone.
Save $18.5 million
no,
of
it needs
cap
to be,
space right now.
needs to be him and Mariota gone. But we'll see.
Well, Mariota is already gone. His contract's up. So like you don't have to do anything about Mariota. You got to make a decision whether or not you want to sign him to a new contract or not. But Marshawn Lattimore, he's going to cost $18.5 million if you keep him around.
They didn't announce it
For
today.
what?
They didn't announce it today.
It better be breaking news tomorrow morning.
It needs
Yeah,
to be
let's
breaking news.
I'll let you guys
Come
know.
on,
I'll
Adam
text you.
Peters, wake up, get yourself a cup of coffee, and fill out the release
Yep,
paper.
I'll get you. They certainly didn't do anything in the press conference.
Adam Peters,
to announce
call
it.
me. I will fly to Washington. I will come to Ashburn. You can sign me in, and I will help you process that transaction.
There was no news today. They just said, yeah, it's a rebuild. We're
You know?
deeply thinking about everything. That's all they offered today in the press conference. It was a nothing burger.
Well, yeah, rebuild.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We love you guys. Thank you all for watching. For all you guys who were not watching live and watching others, thank you for your viewership. If you're still listening at this point, we love you. We appreciate you. This is Football Sight, baby, and we are out of here.
Ouch.
Peace.
Hell.